Hello everyone, in this video we'll be performing how to retrieve the data in SpringBoot application. Okay guys, so first we have to see the execution flow as usual. Like first we'll set up the execution flow. Now whenever we want to perform the retrieve method, okay, so first we have to write the method inside student service IMPL. So here we are writing one student method, okay, or get student method. So with the help of this method we will be retrieving the particular person details with that id number, with that particular id number. So at last this student method will give you whatever the student data you want with that particular person id. So it will return that particular student object, and after retrieving it, it will be passing to the controller as we have designed the code inside the controller. Okay, we are asking the get student or student object from the controller layer, from the service. Okay, you can see here service impl dot get student means from controller we are passing that id. Okay, then the id is received by the service impl. Okay, from the service impl. So from get student it returns the object at this place, and then it reflects to the user whatever the particular person data you are requesting for. And if we go in depth about the get student method, here we are using an optional is a container. Okay, so that sometimes we get some kind of exceptions if that particular person details is not present. Okay, if that particular details are not present, we will get exceptions. So that is the reason what they did, instead of returning that particular object, they are using the container. Okay, they are using the container. What is that container name? Optional. So optional is a container. So inside that the retrieved object will be stored, and this optional is a container, and which is a class. Okay, in this class we have one method is present. This gives boolean value. Once we can understand the return type of is present is boolean. Now whenever we ask that particular id, if id is 1, optional dot is present returns true. Means if the given id value is other than 1, okay, it returns exception. So in that case, how we are rectifying that mistake? So here we are checking if optional is present, means you are asking for the container. Is that container does have any object or not? So if the object is present really, so then it will return true. So at this place it will return true, and then it will retrieve that particular object. If the object is itself not retrieved, it gave one exception. So exception is raised. So at that time optional doesn't work. Optional dot is present returns false, and at last it used null value instead of exception. We at last will get null value. Means we are safe of stopping the application. Means if you are trying to retrieve the data which is not present with that particular id, instead of getting exception we will be getting null value because of the optional. Optional is a container, and it's a Java 8 feature. So hope you understood the execution flow. So first what we have to write, get student method inside the service class. So first our task is to write get student method inside the service class. Let us move to the service layer. You can see all the business logic is present inside the student service class. Okay, so I have some unused imports. First let us remove these unused imports. Okay, I have removed all the unused imports. Now I will be writing here the actual method public. Okay, I am using list. See, you have to be careful while importing list. There are list is from 3 different packages. So it is a Java 8 feature, so it belongs to java.util. So we are requesting first. Sorry. I am using list. now I removed import of list, right? That is the reason. So we are asking for student, get student. We have to pass the ID. Okay, here we are using optional, so we have to be careful while retrieving optional also. Okay, so optional is also from different packages. You can look at here from 5 different packages. So optional is a Java 8 feature, java.util. You can see here a container object which may or may not contain a non-null value. If your value is present returns true. If no value is present, the object is considered empty, and is present returns false. Okay, we can understand it is a container, very simple. Okay, we have to import from java.util only. So in that container we are allowing only student objects. Optional equals student repository dot find by id. We have to pass the id here. Next, we are checking whether optional contains object or not. Means we are calling the method is present. Is it any object present or not? Return optional dot get, then close. Otherwise return null. So at first we completed the get student method inside the service class. Our next task is to write inside the controller as per the execution flow. So our first step inside the service layer is completed. Our next step is to write the method inside the controller class with using get mapping. Means for retrieving the data we use get mapping, and here some extra part is there. I will tell you what is that. Okay, so let us write the method first. At the rate get mapping student slash id public student get student. I am using a at the rate path variable. At the rate path variable is the annotation which is used to retrieve the value from the URL. Okay, and this id should be similar to that curly brace variable. Return service ampl dot get student. Okay, done. Successfully our part is done. Now I'll tell you how it is working here. Not this. Alright. So whenever the user passes the value, the place of URL in the address bar, it is retrieved through this same kind of path. Okay. In the curly braces ID is mentioned now. So like this. So whenever we use at the rate path variable, it will try to fetch the value which is present after the student forward slash. So we use path variable in order to retrieve the values which are provided inside the URL. You can see path variable is used to retrieve the value which is in the URL. Okay. Okay, so now we have successfully completed each and everything. Now let us run the application. Might be application is already running. No. So let us run the application. Right. Now we have to. Is there any problem? No. So once again I'm showing the execution flow. So first step is to write the get student method inside the service layer. Then write the implementation inside the student controller, so that we are calling this method. We are calling the get student method which is present in service layer. We are calling inside the controller. Okay. So now let us retrieve the data. I am passing the data from the URL. Okay. I am passing ID number 1. Get I am using. Yes, I got the data with ID number 1. Right. Now let us pass ID number 2. Okay, we got the data of ID number 2 as well. Okay, Now let us perform okay, now how to retrieve all the data at once. So now to retrieve the data, first we have to see the execution flow. Let us see the execution flow. Same as well. First we have to write the method inside the service layer named as get all students, and here we are calling one method, that is find all method. This find all method will return you all the data which is inside the database table. Okay, after writing this method inside the service class, then we have to write one more method inside the controller, so that okay, we are calling the method which is present in service class. Means execution flow is starting from service, means from service we are retrieving and returning to into the controller. This controller will provide the details to the user, okay, and that kind of. So our first step is to our first step is to write the code inside the service layer. Let us write the code in service layer. So here public list should be imported from java.util. The before only has said you list. You have to be very careful here. Where you see list is from 3 different packages, you have to import it from java.util only. So be careful. Student, get all students. Okay. Return student repository dot find all. Okay, done. Our first step inside the service class is done. Okay, inside the service class we have written the method, and next step is to write the method inside the controller, so that we can call this method inside the controller class. So our next step is to write the method inside the controller class. Hope you will find out easy only. It's not difficult. So here also for retrieving data we use get mapping annotation. Get mapping student public list should be imported from java.util only. Be careful while importing it. Get all, see the method names also carefully. Students. Okay. Return service impl dot get all students. Here, right, it is done. So successfully we have written inside the controller class also. Now see here like how it is working. So whenever the user passes only the URL with the get, means it will provide all the data which is present inside the database. So get mapping only the URL without passing any ID. But in case of just in case of retrieving the particular details, in that case the user is passing one more value in the URL itself. For that we are using this path variable annotation to fetch the value from URL. Okay, this is the major difference. Now let us retrieve all the data. So I am not passing any value. See here 1 and 2, only 2 data are present. Okay, fine. Guys, let's end up this session for now, and next we'll see in the next video what if the given value is not present inside the database, how to handle it. See here I am trying to pass the value which is not present inside the database. Now look at here, we are getting blank value. We should get some information, right? Let us check after in the next video. Thank you.